District Attorney David Cook talking about the lives of Deputy Daryl Smallwood and Sergeant Patrick Sondren, who were both killed in the line of duty nearly 2 years ago.
Today, their killer, Ralph Elrod, pled guilty to the crime. Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Lori Johnson.
And I'm Frank Malloy. Our top story at 6, guilty as charged. That's how Ralph Stanley Elrod pleaded in Peach County Court today. Judge Ed Ennis then sentenced Elrod to 2 life sentences plus 100 years without the possibility of parole.
Elrod admitted shooting and killing 2 Peach County deputies, Patrick Sondren and Daryl Smallwood, back in November of 2016. It happened off Hardison Road, just outside the Byron city limits. Now, it all started with a 911 call that said an armed man threatened 2 people who were riding ATVs. When deputies arrived on the scene and stepped out of their patrol cars, Elrod opened fire.
Several agencies, including Byron Police, Perry Police, and the Jones and Houston County Sheriff's Offices, responded. Elrod was taken into custody after he was shot in the abdomen.
And before that sentence was announced, friends and families of Smallwood and Sondren spoke out in court. Chelsea Bimeford was in the courtroom. She joins us now live with more of the emotional details.
Yeah, Frank and Lori, today members of the Peach County community and family members of those 2 fallen officers can finally begin feeling some sort of closure, knowing that Elrod will never step foot out of prison. But not everybody inside the courtroom was pleased with that final outcome. A somber tone filled the Peach County Superior Courtroom Thursday morning as Ralph Stanley Elrod sat down with his defense lawyers. Surrounded by law enforcement from across central Georgia, Elrod pleaded guilty to all 9 charges against him, including the murders of Peach County deputies Patrick Sondren and Daryl Smallwood.
No parent should have to bury their son or child. There's a universal truth that all parents know from the moment you bring a child into this world. There's not a day that goes by and you don't think of it.
Sondren's mother gave an emotional speech before his 2 sons spoke.
It's wrong for me to say that he died because he didn't die. He was taken from us. He was murdered for wearing a badge. As it was stated, I do not agree with the plea deal because this is not justice. This is rolling over, just giving in and not giving the effort.
District Attorney David Cook said he initially asked for the death penalty, but changed his mind when most family members of the 2 victims said they didn't want this to go to trial.
This is a death penalty case, if there's ever been one, but just having to put the families through that for the next 20 years, and you know, with his age, the potential of him living long enough to be put to death is not very good. So in the end, this is probably the best sentence for him.
Smallwood's ex-wife also favored the deal.
My son is left to grow up without ever really knowing his daddy. Well, I will never know what it's like to have his daddy cheer him on at a Little League game, teach him to ride a bike, talk to him about girls, or teach him to shave.
Judge Edgar Ennis noted that Elrod has a son who works in law enforcement, saying he hopes he'll never have to encounter someone like his own father.
That he never has to confront someone with the temperament and callous disregard for innocent life as Ralph Stanley Elrod.
And Peach County Sheriff Terry Deese told me this afternoon after the hearing he helped transport Elrod from here in Peach County to the state prison in Jackson, Georgia. For now, live in Peach County, Chelsea Bimeford, 13 WMAZ News.
Thank you, Chelsea. And after today's plea deal and sentence, District Attorney David Cook held a news conference to talk about why he accepted a plea deal.
Cook said he didn't look into it until after Deputy Smallwood's fiancee, Byron Police Sergeant Melanie Bickford, brought it up. Then Cook said he found that most family members of the 2 victims agreed with her, including all of the parents of the fallen officers. Cook said he understands, though, why some people, like Sergeant Sondren's son, still wanted the death penalty for Ralph Elrod.
I understand that there are some family members who disagree with this decision. We've met with them numerous times, just as we have with the family members who support the plea. I don't think their desire to see Mr. Elrod get a death sentence was selfish. It's understandable. However, given the concerns of the family and what I believe these deputies would want, I made the decision that resulted in Mr. Elrod being sentenced today.
DA Cook said he had refused a previous plea deal from the defense because at the time he was still pushing for the death penalty.
We spoke to David Odell with the Mercer School of Law about the deal and why so many high-profile murder cases often end up in a plea bargain.
Now, he says a case where 2 deputies are killed warrants the death penalty, but he says he can see the benefit of a plea deal.
It's an advantage for both sides. Everybody understands it as being useful to avoid a trial. There's certainty in it. There's less expense from both sides.
Odell says he understands the DA's office, why they would consider the family's feelings about the death penalty, but he says the decision to put it on the table should also serve the greater good of the community.